Hello everybody, and welcome back to Ruben's History Show. Today is another video I'm making on, but this time it's on the Roman Empire, history of ancient Rome, not the history of Soviet Union. Now I'm going to talk about the Roman emperor who succeeded Hadrian, who was the Roman emperor from 117 AD all the way to 138 AD when he died at the age of 62 in his villa in Baia, Italy, or the Roman Empire at the time, and he was succeeded by Antonius Pius, who would succeed him as the new emperor of Rome on July 11th, 138 AD, following his death. And I am going to talk about his biography and his rule as emperor of Rome from 138 AD all the way to 161 AD. So he basically ruled the Roman Empire for just 23 years, the longest rule ever since the rule of Tiberius, who was the emperor of Rome from 114 AD all the way to 137 AD, after he ruled the Roman Empire for just 22 years as emperor of Rome, following the death of his uncle or grandson, Augustus. So Antonius Pius was born in Lavrium, which on September 9th, 68 AD, which is a Roman village located in the Roman Empire at the time, but now it's present day Italy, or the Republic of Italy, which is located in Europe today. So he was born to Titus Aurelius Flavius and Aria Fedia, who were the parents of Antonius Pius. And Antonius Pius's father was Titus Aurelius Flavius, who was a consul of the Roman Empire in 68 AD, the same time around his birth when he was born. And Antonius's grandfather had the same name as his father, who also had the name Titus Aurelius Flavius. And he was a senator, and he served in the Legio Third Gallica, which was a Roman legion that was fighting in Gaul during the time of Julius Caesar, who was the dictator of Rome, or who was fighting in Gaul at the time for 10 years, almost 10 years, from 58 AD BC all the way to 50 BC, when he won the Gallic War. So also, he had supported Vespasian to be the emperor of Rome during the rule of Vitellius, who was the emperor of Rome from April 16th all the way to December 22nd, 69 AD, when he was killed by the Romans under Vespasian, who had become the new emperor of Rome following his death, or who became the emperor of Rome before his death. And then in 98 AD, Antonius's father died after he was consul in 89 AD. And so following this, Antonius was raised by his grandfather Gaius Arius Antonius. That was his grandfather. He was raised by his grandfather. And then Aria Antona were an old senatorial family from Italy, or the Roman Empire at the time. And then in sometime between 110 AD all the way to 115 AD, Antonius married Faustina the Elder, who was the daughter of Marcus Annius Varius and Rapitilla Faustina. Rapitilla Faustina, who was the half-sister of Vespina Sabian, who was the niece of Trajan and the wife of, or the spouse of, Hadrian, Publius Aelius Hadrianus Augustus, who was the Roman emperor from 117 all the way to 138 AD. Almost, he was the emperor for just 21 years. So, and they were also reported Antonius and Faustina were believed to have a happy marriage, and they also had two sons and two daughters. The two sons' names were Marcus Aurelius Flavius Antonius, and then his second son's name was Marcus Galerius Aurelius Antonius, and his two daughters were named Aurelia Fadia and Ania Galeria Faustina Minor, who would become the Roman empress, or that's basically like the queen of the Roman Empire, and he would marry her cousin, who would become the emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, in 146 A.D. That's she married her cousin in 146 A.D. And Antonius Pius served as a quaestor and a praetor during the rule of Hadrian, when Hadrian was the emperor of Rome. So, and then also in 120 A.D., Antonius was made a consul under the rule of Hadrian, who was the emperor of Rome. And he served as a quaestor, quaestor and praetor, which were, I believe they were the highest offices close to the consul, which the consul was the position of, in the Roman Republic, was basically the position where you're basically like the president of the nation. So also during the rule of Hadrian, from 117 all the way to 138 AD, Antonius was appointed as one of the 4 proconsuls of Italy, or Roman Italy at the time. Proconsul was basically the military governor of a province of the Roman Empire or Roman Republic. So that's basically what a proconsul is, or was at the time. So, and then on February 25th, 138 AD, Hadrian adopted Antonius Pius as his adoptive son, and the heir as the next emperor of Rome, who would succeed him on July 11th, 138 AD, all the way to his death on March 7th, 161 AD. So his rule was peaceful during Antonius Pius' rule, and I'll tell you why when I go further into the video. So on July 10th, 138 AD, the Roman Emperor Hadrian died in Baia at the age of 62, which was the villa he was living in at the time, and Hadrian was succeeded by Antonius Pius as the emperor of Rome. And his adoptive mother was Vespina Sabina, who was the wife of Hadrian and the niece of Trajan. And Antonius' rule was peaceful during his 23 years in power as emperor of Rome, because no one was killed, like no senators or the people of Rome were being killed under Antonius' rule as emperor from 138 AD all the way to 161 AD. So before the rule of Antonius Pius, Antonius held various offices during the rule of Hadrian, which was from 117 AD when he succeeded Trajan, all the way to 138 AD when he died. So during Antonius Pius's rule, before the rule of Antonius Pius, he saved many senators from being killed or sentenced to death by Hadrian during Hadrian's rule, because some senators were sentenced to death. They were executed because they planned a conspiracy against Hadrian, and the consuls and 4 consuls were executed because they were planning a conspiracy. But Antonius saved them, many Roman senators and consuls, during the Hadrian's rule as emperor. And then also during Antonius's rule, he built the Antonine Wall in Scotland during his early rule, following a successful military campaign in Scotland. And that wall, it took 12 years to complete the wall in Scotland, and it's still there today. You could look pictures of it today on Google, and it's still there, the Antonine Wall. And that was the second wall after the Wall of Hadrian, which was built in 122 AD under the rule of Hadrian, following the death of Trajan on August 8th, 117 AD. And during Antonius' rule, he also expanded free access drinking water throughout the Roman Empire. He made free access to drink water throughout the Roman Empire during his rule. And during Antonius's rule as Emperor of Rome, Antonius built temples, theaters, and mausoleums under his rule as emperor from 138 AD all the way to 161 AD. And then Antonius completed many of Hadrian's building projects during Antonius's rule as emperor, because some of the building projects were not completed under Hadrian's rules, and they were mostly finished under Antonius's rule. And then Antonius went to Egypt, North Africa, Germany, Dacia, and Greece, where he faced uprisings and he suppressed them during his rule. He brought them to an end. And then in 156 AD, Antonius Pius turned 70 years old. He was 70 years old at the time in 156 AD when he turned 70. And then on March 7th, 161 AD, Antonius Pius died at the age of 75 when he was ill in Lorium, which was a Roman village where he was educated and raised there. And Antonius Pius was succeeded by Marcus Aurelius as the Emperor of Rome and Lucas Verus as the co-emperor of Rome. So he was succeeded by those two men as the emperors of Rome. And then also during his rule, he was also a speaker. Before he was Emperor of Rome, he was also a speaker in the Rome, and he made some new laws in Rome under his rule. And then 2 years after he took power as Emperor of Rome, it was in 139 AD, Antonius Pius was made the father of the fatherland a year after he took power as Emperor of Rome. And then he gave money to the plebs, which were the poor people of the Roman Empire. And he completed many of Hadrian's building projects during his rule, because some of them were not completed under his rule. And with his death, he was succeeded by his two sons, adoptive sons, Marcus Aurelius and Lucas Verus. And I'm going to talk about that in my next video. And I hope you enjoy this video. Please subscribe, drop a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.